between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. And unto this, Conan, destined to bear the jeweled crown of Aquilonia upon a troubled brow. It is I, his chronicler, who alone can tell thee of his saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Alright, welcome to Conan Skulls and Shadows, Chapter 9. Where we left off was in the middle of the night. Melek had been poisoned by a dart from an assassin. This assassin was someone the group had met before on the streets of Shashan. At that time, the assassin attempted to cut Varys' purse and run off with it, and Melek had stopped him and given him a fierce beating. Shortly after, this man had been taken to the local authorities under the command of Commander Dardis and put in prison. After that time, it's really undetermined what happened to him, but at some point he got away or was released and ended up dealing Melek a severe blow. Melek has regained his strength barely, with the help of the priestess of Ishtar that was in camp seen to Solomon. Although Melek is in no danger of dying, he still does bear the effects of the poison and does have the staggered status, and he will need to rest at least for a couple days before that goes away. You had also made a deal, or several deals, one with Solomon and one with Myrta, who is Kagan's sister. Myrta was to take over the entire caravan and the assets of the caravan, and Solomon was to pay you 40 gold each for brokering this deal. And this deal was to bring the Punton princess and her entourage back to Punt safely, for Solomon's son, Marcus, is being held hostage there until they return. So, it is nighttime, late into the night, and Myrta has sent a few of her men and supplies over to the camp, but herself and some of her men have not arrived yet. What would you like to do? Open it up for roleplay and whatever you're going to do next.
So Millik is staggered, and he's obviously in bad shape. So he turns to the rest of the group. My friends, I need a rest. I cannot continue any more tonight. There is nothing I can do. Take me to the priestesses. They will know what to do.
You have the right of it. I suppose I do have a number of things to do as well, and I would like to check on Mirta. He kind of looks to Varys. I do not suppose you or perhaps one of your men would be able to escort him?
I suppose. Look between who I've got. Arminius and Abel, go ahead and guide Melik to the priestesses if you can. Be wary, since apparently he's being hunted now.
Arminius nods to Varus. Of course, my captain. We will make it so. And he turns and kind of looks to Melik and nods. Whenever you are ready, can you walk?
I shall attempt it. And he goes to stand, and as he goes to stand, he reaches his hand out as if to, like, try and grasp onto something for balance.
Arminius kind of steps closer and kind of, like, grabs you by the elbow and kind of keeps you standing.
Quickly, we must make it to the priestesses.
And he nods. Perhaps we should put you on a donkey. You do not look very stable, Melik.
That might be true. I'd be afraid my injuries would be even worse if I fell off a donkey.
And don't fall.
We won't let you, Abel says.
Very well then. Bring the beast by my side.
Aki, you are like static city over there.
Yeah, alright, 1 second.
They lead the one of the donkeys over to you and help you kind of. It does have a saddle on it, and they kind of put you up into the saddle. We'll be here.
Melik swings his leg over and kind of hunches over just a little bit, holding on tight.
Alright, how does it sound now? Still?
Better.
Little better. There still is some static, but better. Okay. And so they look to Varus and give him a short nod and begin to lead Melik away towards the priestesses of Ishtar. If you look on your map, they would take you to, I believe, 19. The Ishtar's Blessing. What are the rest of you going to do?
Kagan would be relieved that Melik is alive. He would allow the way previous events went down to weigh heavily upon him, and when he sees the men arrive, he'll kind of instruct them where they need to go and stuff as best he can, but then he'll ultimately ask one of them, just outright, he'll just, should my sister have been here by now? Not seen any signs of her.
He kind of looks over his shoulder and looks, kind of surprised and says, perhaps. She was rounding up the last of the caravan to move it. There are many slaves to transport. It is not an easy task, especially during the night.
No, I understand. He'll rub his chin wistfully a little bit, and then I'll ask again another question. Do you know the route that she would be traveling?
Well, certainly. Well, along the wall, and he kind of, if you look at this If you look at this map and you see where 1 is, that's where you are now. They're a little south, kind of where the bend is, right there.
Haroon's probably kind of hovering over and kind of comes closer. Indeed. Do you think you will check up on her?
Just look at you like you're ignorant, stupid, basically, for even asking. Just nod and you go, of course, she's my sister.
Do you think you will need me as well?
Do the Mr. Spock eyebrow raise at you skeptically. He'll swallow his pride and then solemnly nod affirmative. And just, yes, you should come with me if you would.
Yeah, Haroon smiles widely and pats you on the shoulder. Very well, brother. Then I will come with you.
Ajax, grab your gear, we're going as well. It's our payday coming this way.
Ajax nods. Of course, my captain. He begins gathering his gear quickly. We'll flip over to that scene first. So you head down the wall towards where the camp of the Hawk is currently. Bear with me.
Oh yeah, how's my volume now? Still pretty rough? Or?
The volume's fine. It's when you talk, there's some crackling, but
Yeah, background static.
Yeah.
It happens fine. It's not any worse than the last time.
Sorry.
Very good. Oh, shit.
where is Saroon? He didn't make it. Okay. What's going on? As you approach, the three of you and Ajax as well, you see in the middle of camp, this should not be this way, 1 second.
Yeah, we'd probably be able to kind of see the look of the situation from a little ways back, yeah?
Yeah.
Just over by the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see,
Kind of
so
take to the side as we approach.
That's fine.
Quietly.
As you kind of come in, you hear basically very raised voices. Some are in a foreign language, very broken. It's clear that it's what Lamusi was speaking. And the others are more familiar in the tongue of Shemitish, which you each understand. You hear them call back, "We'll kill her! Let her go! Let her go! We mean you no harm! Just let her go!" And you hear, and very, very raised voices as they kind of go back and forth arguing about something. You can see in the outskirts of the firelight, Myrta held by 2 puntins and Lamusi held by 2 guards. Behind Myrta, one of the puntins, Matanga, as you know him, the Lamusi's chief guard, has a very long dagger stuck to the base of her skull. And on the other side, the slave guards, one has a spear and one has a knife towards Lamusi's throat. So go ahead and let me know how you respond to that.
I have a feeling someone's going to do something quite swiftly. So
The Puntins have murder?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've got a knife to her
Yeah.
neck as well.
Yeah. It's like a standoff, right? The slave guards have Lamusi, the Puntins have Myrta.
Yeah, you know Haroon has been able to talk to them before, so. Well, at least Lamusi.
You veered off into the shadows, you say?
Yeah, he's near enough, like, to you, for you to be able to probably notice where he is, but he's mostly trying to avoid their gaze.
Yeah, they don't seem to notice you at all.
Yeah, Kagan would whisper really softly, "Take to the shadows." And he would immediately continue walking forward, but he would draw and notch 3 arrows into his bow.
Yeah, and Haroon would do as he says, sneaking out off kind of this way over here, so he has a good position to go in quickly.
He will stop at a relatively decent distance, and even though his face is doing its best to withhold the anger, he'll try to coyly ask. He says, "Am I interrupting something, sister?"
As you speak, they all turn towards you pretty much in unison. And Matanga and the other Puntin kind of pull Myrta kind of so she kind of faces more towards you in between. And they just kind of begin to say something. Myrta kind of like, you notice that she has a small cut on her brow with blood, caked blood basically on her forehead. And one of the slave guards calls out, "These savages came trying to reclaim this slave," and he kind of shakes Lamusi. And Lamusi is also talking very rapidly to the other Puntins, and they seem to be arguing as well.
With her?
Yes.
Yeah, because she knows that we've already made the deal. So, yeah, Varys isn't really going to go for the whole subtlest. Oh, by the gods. And let's see, they recognize Ton.
Yeah, you recognize these two guys.
Mm-hmm. And how you pronounce Ton's name again?
Ton.
Tona. Tona, what are you doing?
And he kind of looks over Myrta's shoulder and kind of almost seems relieved you're here. He says, Varys, this woman, Steel, princess, honor demands, release, punishment.
Enough of all this nonsense. Solomon already sent me to negotiate with her earlier this morning to get Lamusi back. This is a sideshow. Lamusi will be going home.
Tona kind of looks to Matanga, and Matanga, who is Tona's senior, just like spits on the ground and pushes Myrta down to her knees forcefully and says, "Punishment."
Haroon, as he kind of sees that beginning to happen, is going to kind of move into position and get ready to do his thing. So basically, if he makes any kind of movement, Haroon's going to jump on it. You want me to make stealth, or?
Yes.
Though Kagan's arrows are on the 2 natives, he will turn his attention to Lamusi, and he will try to convey in short, just precise terms. He says, "If you are truly a princess, you will tell them to lay down their arms and talk."
I got 3 in a momentum.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll awareness real quick. Or is that observation? Right?
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's a match. So how does that work?
Although I generated an extra momentum, which means I would...
And so did
when
he.
a struggle comes down, momentum determines which one wins in the end.
Yeah, he generated one too, though. It was one
Cause,
sec.
yeah, because 3 and then momentum, and then if
Yeah.
you got 3 and then.
Varus, why don't you roll persuade real quick?
We got momentum in the pool. No, we don't.
No. I'd like to see Kagan do one and Varus do one.
Yeah, my thing would be, I guess, is your punishment worth seeing your princess die? Because that's what would happen next if you cut the head off that woman. And that's a complication.
I'll take it in Doom.
Like I said, Kagan will basically tell Lamusi that if you are really a princess, command them to stop at once, or a lot of people will die. Then he will turn to them and he'll go, the ones who stole her were punished by death. Because he's talking about Rikus or whatever his name was.
Dicus and Oscar. Yeah.
Dicus and Oscar and everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Tona kind of looks to Matanga and they begin speaking in very quick, a very quick cadence back and forth, and they're now arguing.
I don't suppose, because would I be able to figure out what they're saying?
Sure. You can tell that Tona is saying something to the effect that that Varus and Kagan have the right of it, that those that took Lamusi from the camp were the ones that were punished. But Matanga seems to believe that the person that now has her in chains is also to be punished by the right of the king.
And did I end up succeeding with this stuff?
You guys are tied, so we would have to roll again, I think.
I saw in one of these 2D systems, it always goes to the acting player.
Might be Star Trek.
We can do that. We can do that. That's fine too.
I don't mind. Yeah, I mean, if you
No,
want
no.
to make another one.
No, that's fine. You have stealth on him right now.
Alright.
So basically, he's still holding her, but he kind of looks at her and then looks at Tona and Lamusi, begins to start blabbing as well. Let's see if she gets anything. It's one. So he curses and takes a step back, actually towards Haroon, just kind of leaving Myrta be, and Myrta kind of rushes towards Kagan and Varus. Her hands are bound in front of her.
Yeah, Varus will. Unless Kagan does it. Casually just cut the binds.
Kagan's not gonna lower his guard, but he will step in front of her and do the shoulder and buttocks bump to get her behind him.
There. Good sense from you. Good sense. As we said, Musi will be returned. You have my word. Solomon bargained for it. I went this morning. No harm will come to her. We're even going to help see her off back home.
As a sign of good faith, Kagan will lower his guard and step towards the two slavers and reach a hand out for Lamusi to place it into his.
The slave guards look past Lamusi to Myrta, who has a very displeased look on her face, and she does not respond to them right away that they should let her go. And when Kagan kind of comes forward, they kind of yank her back, which gets Matanga and Tona's attention immediately. They start walking forward.
Yeah.
Kagan
Haroon,
will-
as he sees them start to move, he's gonna kind of look for that opening on their backs, for the spot, you know. So could I go ahead and do my observation to
Sure.
get a?
Mm-hmm.
Is Kagan older or younger?
I'll leave that up to you.
I think you said younger before, right?
Yeah, younger brother.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, he will have a sense of urgency, if not annoyance, in his voice as he continues to outstretch his hand, and he'll just won't look behind him. He'll just go, like in a please get on sync with me for my sister. It'll just go, sister.
She looks to Kagan and then past him at the guards holding Lamusi, and her face that is etched in stone and annoyance kind of fades, and she nods. Let her go. And immediately the slave guards do, and she runs towards the other Puntons.
I was wanting her to take my hand.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you mean you wanted Lamusi to take your hand?
Yeah.
Nah, she runs.
It's my,
Yeah, she just runs straight past you towards her people, and they kind of push her back.
I was trying to do a Switzerland sign of good faith. Like, you don't want the guards to have her here. I'll have her.
Yeah, no. She kind of looks at you and then dashes past, and Tono cuts her bonds, and they go, "We leave now."
Kagan's ready for anything, but he.
Yeah. Haroon has his exploit ready on Matanga, so.
Yeah. Kagan will once again look to Lamusi, and he goes, "Are you not their superior?"
She kind of looks down and says, "Father's men, Father's rule." She kind of steps past them, showing that she's not like afraid, and looks at Kagan. They look nervously as she kind of advances again.
No one need die tonight. Tell them we are going with you to Punt. Extra guards.
She turns and they start speaking very quickly. Kind of hard for Haroon to pick up the exact details, but essentially they're talking about that very thing, and they kind of are disagreeing just a little bit. But in the end, Matanga seems to agree that the three of them traveling such a distance would be a bad idea, and he curses and Punton, and she turns to Kagan and nods. We go back to our tent to rest. More guards we need. Trust not these slavers that come.
There's a woman with good sense. Varus kind of clicks his sword back into its sheath as he was prepared in the event that things were going to go badly. I guess my axe back into my belt. No longer using the sword. Well, it's late. Should we all not walk back to the main camp together?
Yeah. Haroon, there's the sound of him quite brazenly stepping out. Indeed, it seems our dealing is done. Is it not, Lumusi?
They kind of shoot you a glance as you kind of step out of the shadows, and Matanga and Lamusi look at each other, and they just kind of begin to walk past. We go now.
Indeed.
Do we walk here or take horses?
It doesn't matter. Up to you.
I'll look to the y'all as the rest of the group here, and I go, please escort them back. I will speak with my sister and shortly be along.
Varys just shrugs and, come on, Ajax. Let's make sure our escort duties are fulfilled in earnest. Talking about the hunting princess.
He simply nods and falls in line with you.
Yeah, Ruben kind of steps back up to join with the others and... Well, I suppose it is a good thing we didn't have to kill them all.
Kagan will bite his lip nervously, but he'll return the hand on the shoulder with a smile. And he'll just go, you go along. Kagan will be behind shortly.
Pretty well. Yeah, he has a pretty stern look on his face, kind of gazing off towards the way they went to some degree. They will need a close watch. But then he smiles again, he looks to Murder and Kagan. But rest assured, the shadows are on your side.
Once they're gone, I was about to say, once they're gone, Kagan will immediately turn to his sister and start fussing up. Checking her head wound and shit like that.
Yeah, she puts a hand on your chest and just, shakes her head. It is nothing but a scratch. And it's not much.
Yeah, Kagan he definitely cursing her Conan. He says, if I'd had my way, I'd lay them out and flay them alive underneath the sun, pretty much. He says, but after all, this is about you and us. He'll go, he says, if you will trust me as your brother in blood, because I will go along and make sure that what needs to be done is done.
She nods, and as long as we have the coin from the Puntins.
He'll sigh heavily and nod. Basically, he's trying to act liaison, trying to make sure that all the parameters are still withheld. He knows damn well that she's just not going to stride up and go, hey there, come on, let's go to punt. I'm like...
Yeah.
But if she seems cool with it, then yeah, he'll immediately whistle for his horse and do the whole riding, galloping, hop up on its side and take off towards the others to catch up with them.
She simply nods and begins to continue to bark orders at the slave guards and those around the camp who are watching from afar, and begin to ferry the slaves into the camp. So the night passes. Melek is tended to under the silken sheets of the priestesses of Ishtar. You can remove your staggered condition for, let's say, 2 gold. That would be your tithe. If that's acceptable, we can remove that and move on.
That is acceptable.
Okay.
I was gonna say, how late into the night is it? By the
Oh,
way?
it's probably around midnight or later. It's pretty late.
I was thinking it might be a good time for him to get rid of that dyer soon. But
Yeah, we can just handle that off screen. You go and
sweet.
and do that. How do you do that? How does that look to you?
Yeah, so he basically he waits for a good point when he knows that there's no one around the shop or anything, when the guy's alone, and he goes in and the guy's just gone the next day. It's just no one knows where he went,
Mm-hmm.
There's no blood found, no anything. It's just the guy's gone. But again, some rats had a good meal.
Good meal.
Yeah. Rats always have a good meal when someone dies, especially in the place where that guy was found.
Kagan would have done his best to park himself outside the pun's tent. If they ask or anything, it's definitely like I said, extra guards.
Yep. You do what you do through the night, either guarding the puntins or spending your time in the priestesses or the Temple of Ishtar, or killing some random dyer, or sleeping. The morning comes and you hear people banging on the pots and pans near the communal fire, signaling that it's time to break your fast. Melek has just returned, and we are at day 16. What would you like to do?
My friends, for 2 gold, and for the care of the priestesses of Ishtar, I highly suggest Stygian Red. It's not quite bad.
I prefer breakfast.
Indeed.
Very well
Besides, I have
then.
meetings with them soon anyway.
Let's eat.
Varus and his men would just have breakfast and then just wait near the puntin tent, as I'm expecting we're going to depart soon.
So, did we have a plan for like how soon we'd be heading out to make the trek back?
No, that was never decided.
Yeah, Rune trying to bring that up. Perhaps we should speak with Myrta. That may be a good idea to resupply for a time. There are a few things to be done in the city, at least on my part.
You're
You're
getting real
going in and
quiet.
out, you're fading in and out.
Yeah. Alright, let me change my settings.
Just bring back the scratchy stuff so we can actually...
Yeah, is it fine now?
Yeah, it's good.
Better.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, there's not much I can do, it seems. But yeah, so he says there are at least a few things that I must do in town myself, but perhaps it would be good for us to spend a few days to relax and resupply before we head out on such a long journey. It is suitable to ensure we have the supplies to make such a trip, yes?
Well, of course, not to mention we still have to get paid. We did complete a certain part of our contract.
Indeed.
I don't know that Solomon is still alive to pay us.
Well, we will have to find out quite quickly, yes? And perhaps that is the first place we go today.
He would have left it with, as far as payment, he did mention it was going to be with whoever's going to take over the caravan. I was thinking, is it Kagan's half brother?
Yeah, Hanwell.
Mm-hmm.
Brother-in-law.
Okay, brother-in-law, that's right.
But he is MIA the last time you had heard, because he went... Myrta said that he had come there and they had fought. And he had fled into the city. Fought isn't just argument, right?
Yeah. Well then, let us see if Solomon is alive, and if he is not, we will seek out Hanwell.
Yeah, Kagan nods in approval at the mention of a couple of days, but he, once again, just looks like it's, like it's a comment made in a perfect world, sure. He's like, I do not think our dark-skinned friends will find the idea of delay appealing.
Perhaps, but we are the protection they need, are we not? We will see, and if they disagree, then they do. It is a bridge to cross when we come to
I can go speak with them, see exactly what time they're thinking they want to leave, see if we can buy us if not a day or two, a few hours. Let them know we need to supply, things like that.
Indeed. Very good.
Melik immediately starts rolling up all of his equipment and his gear and starts attaching it to his horse.
Yeah, Haroon doesn't have a whole lot. He kind of just sleeps where he's, whatever setup he's given by whoever he's traveling with. So.
Yeah, Kagan probably uses his saddle as a pillow and has like a yak skin duffel bag. He just throws everything in.
So you're gonna go talk to the Puntons, Varys?
Yeah.
I'll walk you up there since it's Ooh.
Haroon would ask if you wanted him to go to kind of help make speaking easier. Since other than the one, it's not,
Well,
quick.
I'm gonna be all
they
up there.
have one who can understand, but you can come if you want to eavesdrop, I suppose.
Very well. You seem to know me quite well, my friend.
I know your type. Go ahead and bring her. I bring obviously my group with me as well, my men, just to not flex necessarily, but hey, this is what you're getting, sort of deal.
Yeah. So you arrive and the Puntons are outside with their own small fire, cooking something, and you realize that there's no more a charade, essentially, as there is a woman, very pale-skinned, beautiful woman, also in their camp, sitting next to Tona. She isn't bound. She isn't, appear to be a captive, but she kind of looks up, kind of surprised. And Lamusi steps forward. You've come, she says in broken Shemitish.
Yes, I wanted to come by and plan out the logistics of our trip.
She looks at you kind of sidelong, not knowing what that word means.
Oh, logistics, supplies, food, travel, sort of trying to just go through the motions with it. Hopefully Tona's understanding.
Yeah, Tona, says something in Punton to her, and she nods, and Tona kind of steps forward beside her, and yes, we cannot leave now anyway. Ill moon.
Right.
2-3 days. When moon passes, we may leave.
Well, that was actually exactly what I was thinking as well. We're going to resupply and get enough food and supplies for the journey and the return trip as well. I suppose we could get the return trip supplies in Punt if we're welcome, but
Return with princess. Return with the princess. You be welcome. And this one, he kind of nods down to the pale girl. King's prize must be delivered.
It will be done. But yes, 2 to 3 days, we'll break camp. We'll begin our journey.
He nods. More guards post here?
Absolutely. Man, my men here, motion to Arminius, Ajax, and Abel, they're not going to leave this spot for 2 to 3 days, unless they have to use the restroom.
Tona nods to that. I trust Varys. No else.
Good. I won't break your trust, Tona. You have my word. We'll get this taken care of.
He nods. and speaks to Lamusi and Punton, and she nods as well.
As we're going into town to collect supplies, I imagine you're not going to be leaving this spot either. Anything you would like us to procure while we're there?
Turner just shakes it. Food, water, that is all.
Very good. Well, I'll be seeing you around then. Arminius, make sure this place is protected. You, Ajax, and Abel.
Arminius nods. Of course, Captain. We won't leave here unless we have to shite.
Good. Right then. Walk away with Haroon.
As you're walking away, though, Arminius kind of walks up to you and kind of leans in, and he's like, "Who is the pale-skinned girl? What is this?"
As I understand it, prize for the Punton King. None of our business. Unless something bad happens to her, then it's very much our business.
She doesn't look like a slave.
She's not. She'd be his bride.
He looks aghast at that. What?
Something wrong, Sergeant?
He frowns and shakes his... No. Strange is all.
I think so too, but we're going to get paid 40 gold a head for just bringing Lamusi here and speaking with Solomon Anwell, and we're going to get even more than that from taking this group down there and coming back with money. That gold will wipe away any concerns you have, old friend. Trust me.
Let us hope we survive the journey, Captain.
Unless we die of old age.
Hasn't killed us yet.
I think we'll be doing this for another 50 or 60 years at this rate. And pat him on the shoulder.
He smiles. Not if we get all this money that you claim, Captain. I'll be retiring somewhere warm and safe.
I wish that life for you. And for you two as well, even though you're young knuckleheads. And Abel and Ajax.
Yeah, they haven't really been paying attention. They just kind of, huh? Oh. Yes, of course. They don't know what you were talking about. They were
Good.
completely oblivious to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of just quietly watching on as usual.
Yeah, the Puntons kind of like retire back and tend to their fire and whatnot. Matanga is staring at you all very, very, very solemnly with a sour face, not pleased. He does not say anything, though.
Yeah, other than just the standard acknowledgement you would give one as you're coming or going, I wouldn't really pay much attention to it. Young, fiery blood is all that is. But I would depart with Haroon to go whatever business we're doing in the city for supplies or what have you.
Unless we want to check up with
That's right.
see if he's actually alive still.
Probably not, but we'll stop in. Because the priestess, the chick who was tending to him did say that he was probably going to die today or be dead during the night.
Something along those lines, yeah.
See what happens.
Okay. So you gather everybody together, and I'm sure you probably tell them what happened, right? And you head towards Solomon's tent. You head into the tent, and you see Solomon laid out on his bed, and the priestess that had helped Melik the night before is still there. The first thing you notice on Solomon's eyes are two silver coins as he lays peacefully on his back, looking up at the top of the tent. The priestess turns as you enter and kind of gives you a quick glance and then looks back down to the man, but does not say anything.
Priestess, when did he go?
When the moon was high, several hours, I have been watching over his body until it is given its proper rites.
He did not have any pain, did he?
No, I assured that he did not. I gave him the elixir, the warm embrace of the mother. He felt no pain in the end.
He was lucky to have you at his side.
She gives a very short smile and bows her head.
Well then, Varys. What is it next? And Kagan, what of your brother-in-law?
Assuming he would never hurt anything. Hanwell's never, he's still MIA.
He's still MIA. As far as you know.
Say he was going to get, he like went to drink afterwards, or he just went into town?
She wasn't sure.
He was upset and went into town, and yeah. So, drinking probably one of the higher, more likely things, yeah.
Okay, you know, just look at Melik and just shrug.
Well, we have a few days. Perhaps we follow suit. Drink, and perhaps we will find him in that way.
Hanwell's tent's around here, isn't it?
Yep. He has a very similar tent.
Hell, nothing stopping us from going in there and asking one of his concubines.
Very well. That works quite good. To be honest, I had forgotten of them. It has been a busy time for us, has it not?
As this is going on, Boris would approach where Solomon's at, laying down, and then just sort of give a quick prayer to the gods, even though the man had made many mistakes. No need to disrespect the dead. And then, quick prayer to the gods for safe passage for the next life for Solomon. And then sort of following in suit with the others. So, going to ask Manuel's concubines, or...
It does seem like a good place to start.
Indeed. Ern kind of turns to Nessie. And, you, priestess, is our meeting prepared?
She looks at Haroon. Say that again.
He was asking if the meeting they had planned would be set up anytime soon, basically.
Remind me what that is.
Yeah, so he was wanting to get in contact with the Khan to some degree.
Oh.
To, figure out what was going
Okay.
on with Melik and stuff, and he was planning to go through them as a neutral party.
She just shakes her head. I have not had time. I have been here. I have not been back into the city yet.
Of course. It is of no rush. Take your time. And again, thank you.
She nods and looks to you all. You are his friends, his companions. How will you dispose of the body?
Kagan just walks out of the tent. He really didn't know Solomon wore the shit, so.
Solomon's Aquilonian.
Yes.
What is tradition for Aquilonians? Is it burning, or what is our traditional?
I think it probably would be a burial, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. Only problem is the given location isn't the best for burying anything.
I mean, doing a
mostly sand around the area.
Yeah, mostly sand. In this area, almost everyone is just put on a pyre or burnt in a, ditch somewhere.
Well, this is not suitable for a proper Aquilonian funeral, but we will make do. And what that will be, we will burn him, and then I will collect the ashes in an urn, and I will bury him in Aquilonia, should I make it home.
And this seems a good way to do it. Quite respectful of you.
She stands and kind of walks towards the exit, not really realizing that Kagan is even gone, and says, "I will pray for him. If any wish to pray at the temple, I will be there to hear their prayers and help guide them to Ishtar for this man on his passing."
Varys would nod. Actually, he would probably make this a priority to do, so he could just get the urn and everything together. So he'd probably just let Kagan and Haroon and Melek as well all go to do the situation with the concubines. Grab one of his men and just do a quick setup.
Okay.
Burn and urn.
Alright, let me, so as you're doing that, is everybody else going to go see what's up in Hanwell's tent?
Yeah. So.
Alright. So, Anisi kind of nods to Varys and then exits, and she looks to Haroon. "I will see what I can do about your meeting. Come to Ishtar's blessing. Ask for me, and I will see what I have learned in a day or two."
Very well. I will see you soon then.
She nods and walks past and out the door. Alright, let me, this is the same tent I'm using, so let me just flip the scene real quick. Give me like 2 minutes. Actually, these two would be here. As you walk into Hanwell's tent, his son and Kagan's nephew, Hanny, and this is actually Myrta's son as well, kind of steps forward, looking excited at Kagan. "I have heard that mother is alive," he says.
Kagan will look at him, and as he approaches, he puts his hand on his shoulder, nods deeply. Says, "The words are true. She lives. But I come here seeking your father."
I haven't seen him in days. I had heard that he had went to speak to mother, and then had not returned.
Mother says the two of them had a dispute, that he stormed out of the tent in a mood. General consensus is he probably made his way to a tavern, but I do not know. That's why I come, seeing if any word from him has been heard.
He shakes his head. I have not heard anything. I would have went to Mother already, but he commanded me to stay here and look over Conan and Conan. And the boy kind of rushes up and says, Uncle! I had heard that my aunt is alive. Which is really his stepmother. But
yeah. Kagan will brusquely ruffle the kid's head, but his mind's really on all business right now. He'll go, yes, perhaps you will. I'm assuming, what are they nationality-wise? I'm assuming Hanny, does he speak Harkonian?
yeah, he's Harkonian. He's you're all just different tribes of Harkonian, basically.
Okay, there goes that idea of just trying to communicate to him.
Now, Astley is something else. She's a concubine of some sort. Well, they're both concubines, but she's a foreigner. She was picked up on the trip in Turan.
Yeah, Kagan's defensive, but at the same time, in a right, they do have a right of their own to know. And when Hanny mentions he hadn't had a chance to see her, and he goes, well, the chance will present itself shortly, it seems, for she has procured Solomon's portion of the caravan. Her men move her belongings here as we speak.
He looks kind of confused. Her men? What do you mean?
He'll just look and kind of push Caden away by the same head that he's been ruffling. Like, go to your mother, boy. And he'll just go, much has changed since you last seen your mother.
I thought that father had bought her from bondage.
No. She procured her own freedom, but is not without change herself.
What do you mean?
He'll just get frustrated at the whole thought of it all as his mind drifts to the thoughts of it. He goes, best she explain it in her own words. For now, know that she is safe.
That is all that matters, Uncle. I wish to kill the men who took her. He kind of, scratches his chin.
Yeah, Harun kind of smiles when he says that over Kagan's shoulder.
And will remain here as my father had ordered. Till your mother comes to me soon.
Do you know of any of your father's hangouts?
he kind of
He'll cut a sidelong glance at the concubines. He'll just go. He goes, you know any taverns or whorehouses that your father frequents?
He did not leave the caravan much, Uncle. He went into town a few times to the priestesses of Ishtar, perhaps for tithing, which means sex, or perhaps for healing his soul. I do not know, but it was infrequent.
His absence concerns me.
I as well.
He'll finally look at the other two because they are women after all, and he'll step forward. And he'll go, have you seen my brother? Speak the truth, women.
Will you roll an insight, Kagan?
I don't suppose Harun would be able to see enough to.
I just don't think you would have the context for this. Oh man.
That makes sense.
Jesus, this is
Thank
horrible.
you. Kulon says, I have not seen him. I have been here with Hani and Kadan the entire time. If you see Hanwell, tell him to come home quickly. His son misses him.
He'll nod, affirming. I was hoping he was already here. Nevertheless, he'll turn up, I'm sure. So if you hear or see of him before my return or our return, by all means send word.
She
Turn and
nods.
address. Yeah, he'll turn and address Annie. He goes, if you excuse me, the search continues.
Fine, father. I'm sure he and mother can work out whatever has happened. Seems foolish to argue on such a blessed day of finding your wife long thought dead or worse.
If only it were as simple. If only it were as simple, my nephew.
He just nods and shakes his head and continues to go about his business of brooding. All right. Where would you like to do? What would you like to do?
That's something option.
I'm thinking since we all finished up doing whatever our respective things
Yep.
were, we're all together. All right. So we're gathering supplies and trying to get paid by finding Kagan's brother-in-law, and then whatever else needs to be done in the city. Supplies not a problem, but what kind of man is your brother-in-law, Kagan? Where would he frequent?
Good question.
I mean, he wouldn't be above going to the priestesses of Ishtar for any reason. But he's more of a kind of a dour, kind of solitary man, particularly after the loss of his wife. This place is very foreign to people like the Hyrcanians. A big city, yeah.
Well, if he left in anger and took drink, which could have led to confrontation with another, it may be that he is in a sale and Dardis knows where he is. And by the way, I still need to speak to Dardis to find out where that assassin came from. How it was that he was able to walk free when he was under his care.
Indeed.
What if his answer is the hangman's noose, or worse?
Yes, I think that you should do much to remain invisible in this city, Melik. You are apparently not a welcome personage.
You know, they have a point. They do not know what happened to their assassin, but they also do not know what has happened to you yet. If there was ever a time for you to remain hidden, this is it.
Not saying not to travel with us, mind you, but perhaps just keep that ugly face covered.
Indeed. More subtle than usual, perhaps.
Dardis owes me answers.
Yeah.
And then let us
Which
be
is
the
yours.
ones to get it for you.
Very well. You can look for Hanwell there, and you can also question about the assassin.
No, he went to go see her in the south. Would he have to loop all the way around to the northeast to get into the city?
No, there's an entrance up by 10. 10 is the closest entrance to the city.
Okay. Once you go in there, then it's guardhouse, and then the city proper. That's a long walk just to get drunk or laid.
If you're in a sour mood, it might not bother you as much. The whole walking part of it.
Especially down to that temple, geez.
Yeah, if you would, it's common knowledge that the temple is actually where the actual real praying and stuff happens. The blessing is where everything else happens, and the blessing is number 19.
Okay, that's up closer. Yeah. Very well, I guess we check the drunk tanks then.
Indeed. Sounds like a good idea.
Heading to the barracks, huh? Dardis's area.
Yeah.
And Malik, you're kind of staying hidden. Is that what you said?
For now, yes. I have a large, hooded cowl over my head, obscuring my face.
Yeah, take off the turban. Shave.
Oh no.
It'd be a very different look, wouldn't it?
He'd probably look about 14.
I'm guessing Malik's just hanging back or something.
Melik is off. God, this wall of. Melik is just off to the back on the other side over here.
Okay. You head towards the barracks and you see 2 guards standing outside, as you've seen before.
Time of day is it?
Mid-morning.
Good morning to you. Is the captain of the guard in?
Oh, yes. Are you here because of the beast? The games? I've been busy. Busy day. Many newcomers coming to the city. Many are fearful of what prowls the streets.
The beast.
He looks at you like you're some sort of afterbirth, basically. What, you haven't heard?
I've been away from the city for quite some time. What do you mean, the beast?
There's some creature loose on the streets, murdering, engorging itself with people's flesh, ripping their throats out, eating their bodies.
God's blood. Have they actually caught a glimpse of the monster?
Some say they have. Hard to know if it is true or fear. Or both.
What do they say?
Yes.
How does it look?
You hear many things, that it has a jackal head, a dog head, head of a lion, head of an alligator, bodies of all sorts of animals. Kind of shrugs. Likely imagination, but there's something out there. Perhaps a cultist? Who knows?
We'll keep our wits about us. No, we're here in search of one who might have gotten a bit too drunk. Perhaps he's taking some time to sober up in your fine establishment here.
We've been letting drunks go. There's also games starting. Today, there are many drunks on the streets. Not enough cells to keep them. Keep them until they sober up and push them on their way after collecting a fine.
Is the captain available nonetheless?
Who?
The captain of the guard, Dardus.
Ah, yes, he's here. Go in.
Nod and make my way in.
Okay, going to add an additional inquiry. He says, the place that you hold these miscreants for lewd behavior, says, is there one person that oversees them usually?
The commander. When he is not too busy, or one of the guards inside. There's a guard in the jail down below you could speak to.
I will do that, just that. Nod his thanks.
You know from previous experience, this is the door where his office is connected to.
Says this one.
Yeah, the one on the left side of the screen.
Right here.
Yeah.
While y'all would go in there, Kagan would make his way down and ask the guy down there if you remember seeing anybody meet Hanwell's description.
You can't get through there. That door is locked to downstairs.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Knock for Dardus's office.
He'll tug at the door and then grunt and then make his way back towards y'all.
Where can I get down there? Okay. So you do so, and yes, come in. Open the door.
Good morning to you, Dardus.
He looks up, and at first he doesn't really recognize who you are, perhaps. He's like, you're one of Malik's guards.
I raise an eyebrow to Melik's guards. No. Caravan guard for Solomon, though I traveled with the man you speak of.
Yes. What can I do for you? And he looks at Kagan as he kind of walks in as well.
Yeah, and then probably.
Oh, we came with a few inquiries, if you'll give us the time.
He sighs and puts a ink quill down and, yes, I'm busy, but what is it?
The first, looking for, perhaps you could describe him best, Kagan.
Speaking, I'm lawyers in search of my brother Hanwell, leader of whatever the tribe is.
Mm-hmm.
Give him a description. I said he's a Draconian male. And I'm assuming in his 50s by now.
Yeah. I don't recall seeing one, but I don't process all the drunks, if that's what you're thinking. These games have caused a headache, and this blasted demon that's on our streets. He kind of points to the door behind you. You can go down and see the jailer. He would know more. He's taking an inventory of everyone and collecting fines. If he's been in here, he'll know.
I appreciate your assistance in this matter. He'll look to the other two and he says, if you excuse me, I'll return shortly. He'll bite his lip as if he's assuming the worst. And he goes, perhaps the good captain could tell us more about this beast. I'm sure a bounty of some kind would be involved.
Yeah, certainly there's a bounty. No one has been stupid enough to go looking. And if...
Well, we're quite stupid.
He looks at you rather blankly.
stupid enough to potentially take that bounty if you have more information.
Yes, I have more information. You kind of like... He's like, what do you want to know? It's killed several so far. Comes out at night. Everything that you might expect.
Any particular kinds of victims? Women, children, older, younger men? Just whatever it can find.
So far it seems to be visiting the slums and whatnot. But, I don't know. There's been 2 killed. No one of any import so far. But it has the city in a tizzy because of the grotesqueness of the deaths. And these games, they were planned months ago by the Khan. A victory celebration. And people have flooded in from all of Shim and beyond. There's a lot of coin on the streets and with a lot of people nervous.
What's the bounty on the beast?
For now, I think it's up to 15 gold. No one's expected to actually do it. It's mostly for our gods, to give them hope.
Yeah, Vern's kind of off to the side, just kind of wryly listening in on this.
Well, if we happen to run across it in our travels during the night here, we'll bring its head to you. Obviously no promises.
If you bring the head of some demon, then by all means, we will pay. Don't be cutting off the head of some beggar and expect to get anything from me.
Wouldn't dream of it. I did have one other inquiry.
Kind of
About a-
size. Yes, what is it?
There's a... Oh, it's probably longer than a few days ago, but it was last Melik was with us. There was a man that had tried to cut our purses, make off with it. We turned him in. He processed here. This same man, a few nights ago, attacked us in the night. Melik, yeah, that's kind of I'll look at the ground. I'll try to sell this if I gotta roll whatever the deception is. Melik is on his deathbed.
Yeah, roll me a persuade.
And then darted him in the neck. Do we have momentum?
I believe you do not. You can give me Doom to roll some extra die, though.
You only got 3, so I guess I will. So I give you 1 and I get an additional die, or?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's 1 per die. Same as with momentum, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'd like to succeed. I'll give you 1
Sure.
for 3 dice.
Okay. Very nice. You generated a momentum. He looks very surprised. What? He stands up and kind of slams his hands on the table. Yes, I know exactly who you're speaking of, because I released him just yesterday by the command of the Khan, by one of the Lions of Ranveer.
Well, I must tell you, Dardus, between you and I, can I actually, I'm probably going to fail the insight, but can I insight to see if he looks like he's being legit? I know
Yep,
he's
you sure can.
fussing up a storm.
Mm-hmm.
Can I as well?
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, Harun's kind of watching, waiting for his moment to check.
Can I from downstairs?
Hey, I know I'm outside waiting for everybody to get out, but can I?
Harun, I'm gonna whisper something to you.
It looks legit to me.
Or does it?
It was the one they call Rafik, the giant. He told me that this one was to be released into the Khan's custody as a slave, so I did it. He must have escaped.
Not likely.
Interesting.
Not with what, well, not what we heard from the man's lips before he passed.
Why would you kill him? Bring him here. I could have tortured the answer out of him.
Well, he was on his last legs anyway. He wouldn't have made the journey. Not much else you could expect when we were attacked by a man in the middle of the night, but you have been played, Darkness. That man attempted to kill Melik, and, well, he has succeeded. He did it on behalf of the Khan's orders.
Indeed, and something seems to click now that we have heard who withdrew him. If it was this dog, as you said, then that would explain things. We did see him just the other day
Rafik?
at the bandit. Indeed, I believe that was the one. Yes, Varys? At the Band of the Hawk.
I think so.
Perhaps he saw Melik at that time and perhaps relayed that he was still around. And that would explain why it happened so suddenly and not soon.
Well, he's got no need to worry about it anymore.
Indeed. Perhaps you could at least relay that to the Khan for us. Ensure that there's no further issues on our parts.
He just kind of looks you over and he's like, I don't know what I'll be doing. Has Melik been sent to his ancestors as ash yet? I wish to pay my respects.
Unfortunately, he has. We weren't really sure what kind of poison was used, or if it would spread. We had to commence the burning as quickly as we could.
Kind of looks down at the table and nods and he says, very well. See to the drunk you're looking for and go. I wish to be left alone.
Understood. Stand there and wait for Kagan to do his thing.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to zip you to the next screen. Right. You head down the stairs and you see that there's a guard kind of idly standing there, playing with his fingernails.
Yeah. Step forward towards him to let him acknowledge my presence.
Let me just, yeah, let me move you guys for sight. I'll bring you to Melik. Guys are splitting up a lot on me. It should put you all in there. The guard looks kind of confused and oh, yes.
Says, I am Kagan Nazali. Your commander has allowed me passage down here to inquire if whether or not you may have processed or still have my brother. His name is Henwell. He's a Herconian man about yay tall, with shoulder-length gray hair, his 50s, sparse beard and mustache.
I do not know. I say go down the hall. Speak to the jailer at the desk. He has a log.
No. Thank you very much.
He nods and kind of steps out of the way a bit.
That's a long.
as you're kind of walking down this hallway, you hear like the sounds of people in these cells that are locked, the doors, and just like groaning and vomiting, and just generally the sounds of drunkards for the most part. And you see a very bored-looking man sitting at a desk around the corner.
Not to draw. I wanted to be twofold, not to surprise this guy, but also perhaps start to whistle as I'm traveling. Perhaps a familiar tune that Hanwell.
Sure, you could hum like a Harkanian tune or something like that.
Yeah. It's kind of twofold. Basically, if he isn't here, he might hear it, and also to let the guy in the hall, then the other guard know that somebody's coming down the hall.
Yeah. You don't hear any response to that. You just kind of, as you kind of cut the corner, you see this guard kind of looking over his shoulder at whoever's coming. And he's kind of like, yes.
I am Kagan Azali of whatever tribe we're from. As your commanders allowed me passage here to try and see if my brother was apprehended. It might still be on the premises or not. Tell me, do you remember processing a Conan man, 50 sparse beard, shoulder length, blah blah blah. Name of Hanwell.
Let me look. And he kind of opens this kind of large book, and he kind of begins to scan it. He said, Hanwell? And you look down, and it's all this Shemitish writing, so you can't read it, but he kind of goes over the description. Perhaps. Arcanian, we have one. Middle-aged. He kind of points and taps at it. Released yesterday. He was here for 6 or 7 hours. Got into a fight. You there, Ian? Uh-oh.
It surprised him that we had a lead. He wasn't ready.
He's like, I figured this would just be nothing. I'm just excited I get to use another part of my map I've never used. We keep using the same stuff over and over and over.
I feel that so much. Yeah. I made a buddy a map once, and several actually, that I took time to make, and didn't scale them, didn't anything, just threw them down as battle maps, just for tile space, basically, so it wasn't a blank screen. Nothing was, oh my god, I was losing it.
If you guys gotta have a bio, then we can take it now.
Cool, yeah, I think I'll do that.
5-minute bio.
I'm surprised y'all couldn't hear that. Somebody just must have slammed to that damn telephone pole down the corner.
Alright, we couldn't hear you.
All I heard was brakes squealing and the lights flickered here. There's a power transformer on the pole right at the corner by the lights. People always go up into it and slam into that big metal box too, the junction box.
Basically, he responded that he believed that he was there, and that he was there the previous day and was there for 4 hours. Yes, here for 4 hours yesterday. Released. Got into a fight.
Do you know who got into the fight?
And he kind of flips the page and keeps reading. Got in fight with one of the slavers in Elkosh. Disturbing the peace is what it says here.
Oh man, I bet she got this dumbass to go try to kill him, because that's what she wanted us to do, didn't she?
I bet. Oh my gosh.
Man.
That's probably exactly what happened, yeah. Well, you never know.
He'll nod affirmingly. I thank you for your time.
No, Be safe. There's the beast out there. If you're newcomers to the city, I suggest you just leave.
So I've heard. He'll pause for a moment. He goes, are there any places that he seems to be most centered upon? Or is it just random acts of violence?
Well, the first was killed near Beggar's Row. Most did not think much of it or care. But then, along the promenade, near the Khan's estate even, whatever this beast is knows no bounds.
I see. Tread carefully, I shall.
These drunks are the safest ones in the city, and I will be here, watching them, very dutifully. He's clearly pleased he doesn't have to walk around the city.
Oh, yeah, imagine.
Hope nothing rowdy with Sellout's gone, because I was recording the whole time.
No.
Oops.
No, you're fine.
You guys didn't have that conversation about Nordicism while I was gone?
Nope.
Okay, good. Happy to hear it.
Kagan did have his conversation with the guard, though, and just for an out of character type of thing, he basically told him that Hanwell had gotten into a fight, and he asked who, and he said one of Elkosh's guards.
Yeah, I got a feeling Crocodile's on the loose. Either Hanwell went in, killed Elkosh, and fucking Crocodile's free now. That's what my gut's telling me.
Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking. Kind of similar. Is the first thing I thought when I heard, "Oh, there's a thing loose." I was like, "Did fucking Crocodile get loose?" I was like, "Shit."
That's what my gut's telling me. Is she convinced his dumb ass? He basically got pissed off. Said, "Bitch is trying to use me." Got drunk, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, I'll fucking go and do it, man. I still love the woman."
We'll never know unless we find him alive, which I don't know if we will, but if that actually happened, I don't know, man. That's pretty bad.
That's what me as a real life person's gut is telling him.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling, because if he only ended up in jail for getting drunk and attack, and I'm pretty sure Elkosh is probably still fine then.
Well, it's also too, if he did decide to go ahead and try to do what she tried to get us to do, he could have easily pretended to be that to provoke a response.
Yeah.
But if he was arrested, that could be proof that he was drunk and Elkosh is probably alive, and he could have sent the Crocodile out after him and unable to contain him.
Yeah.
So Melik just sits outside the building watching people walk by. Looks at his fingernails.
So let's move you guys back out. So you guys leave the barracks with some more answers than you had before. Not shift you guys over. Okay. And Melik is waiting outside for you.
Yeah, once we're away from them, that's when Kagan will go, because it seems that my brother was indeed here. He'll bite his lip very deep with concern. He goes, he was apprehended for rude behavior. It was in Beggar's Row. Guess, and he says, at Elkosh's establishment. What was that place called? The Sand Pit? The
Elkosh is, the Fox's Den is a local gambling hall, but Elkosh just owns the local slavers market, essentially.
He was arrested there. Then he'll turn and he'll go, "Don't suspect. My sister's Honey Woods may have convinced him to do what she tried to contract us and removing the slaver from power, do you?
Perhaps, or he took it upon himself to do it. He's unsure.
What reason would he have to decide to do that on his own?
Who knows?
There is no good reason.
If he was inspired by drink, he might have just had a moment. Hatred of all slavers, since they were complicit in his wife's new behavior. But I agree, Malik, it's a bit strange he would choose to attack that particular person we were about to be contracted to the same.
Indeed. You never know, but it is certainly likely.
Kagan will bite his lip again, and he goes, did not that fat fuck also have a monster of a gladiator in his ranks?
He did.
Indeed. Curious.
Perhaps we
Okay.
should investigate his. It's Akash, right? That's the name of the
Elkosh.
Elkosh.
Is a
Perhaps
slaver.
we should pay a visit to Elkosh and see what the state of things are.
That sounds most agreeable to me. I do have business with him after all. He smiled.
And we've got the time.
Kagan will stop and then look at the guards in the distance over there, and he goes, would it not be wise to let the commander also know that the very beast he might seek could very well be related to where we're now heading?
Perhaps, but we do not know yet. And I doubt they would move on presumptions such as that.
Agreed. Oh, also, bit unrelated, Melik, I should tell you that you're dead.
Kagan kind of looks taken back, and
Well, it is about time. I've been dead on the inside for quite some time.
To clarify, told Dardus that you were killed by the assassin's stroke. For what it's worth, it appears he did not know how the man would be used, but he did confirm that it was upon the release to Rafik and the Khan's personal slave group.
The
The man would have been
dogs.
received as such.
Envious dogs. And with that, Millet just turns his head and he spits on the ground, becomes angry.
I think it is, as I said before, he likely saw you when we were making the deal for Lumusi. It is likely that is how he knew for sure that you were about.
It is of no concern now.
Indeed.
Our only concern now is to find Kagan's family and to return the Puntin princess back to her lands.
Yes. It should be easier now that they do not know you are alive. Captain Doris will help to tell the tale. He certainly believes it.
Well, to Elkosh then.
Indeed.
it would seem so.
Yeah. Let me see where this guy is.
Go on there. Yeah, we want to buy the crocodile. Oh, he's not currently available right
And then we all get to fail our insight checks. No, yeah, it seems like he's here. Can't be that guy.
It would crack me up if it was the lady that he was trying to sell instead before. That would be great.
Wouldn't surprise me.
You never
It
know.
is Conan.
I mean, honestly, my If it's not any of that, my guess is going to the spy that was around. Because if it was some kind of sorcery, you never know what the hell could be out there now.
Hanwell got drunk, got to a fight, stormed home when he was released, still drunk. He tried to hump a were hyena. Got bit.
Where hyenas, bad times.
You cross Shishan streets and it is extremely busy. There are many foreigners in town for whatever these games are that you had been completely oblivious to.
Coin purses tucked inside and pushing away any beggar or anybody that bumps into you.
At the same time, you notice there is a very, very clear look of fear on people's faces as this rumor of this beast is spreading through the city like wildfire. But eventually you make your way slowly through the crowds, and by midday you reach the slave market. In the slave market, you notice that there are a couple guards standing nearby, but pretty empty currently. You don't see many of the cells filled. You do see the one girl in the distance that Elkosh had tried to sell you. The very, very sultry-looking girl. Elkosh himself is a bit hunched over, looking at a piece of parchment as you enter, and he looks up. Ah, friends. Ah, return customers. Good, good. I hope the Cushite and the woman I sold you are pleasing you.
Is the woman even still at the camp?
She's at the camp, yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, where did my property go?
Oh, that's right. I bought a chick. Yeah.
Oh shit! Completely slipped my mind. No, but come in and we'll be friendly-ish, cordial. He did give us the deals we wanted, sort of, last time we were here. Elkosh was coming by. Wanted to take a look at your wares again. Also ask you about a bit of business.
Ah, well, unfortunately, all I have for sale today is... And he looks over at Opal and nods. Many of the visitors to town have bought up all my current stock. I hear there's a slave caravan in town that I am going to attempt to do business with and see if there's anything worth anything to buy. Buy from me, not from them, clearly. They'll rake you over the coals. I can buy in bulk, you see.
But only her? I mean, she is quite fetching, but what about the big one that looked like he was not even a real man, as made inside of a sorcerer's den somewhere? The alligator? Is that what he was called?
The crocodile, that's what they would call him, yes.
Ah.
I sold him, yes. I sold him to, well, a gladiator master. It's the games, and he thought he would serve well. I personally know nothing of warfare or fighting in the pits, so I sold him for a tidy sum.
This out-of-town gladiator fighter, or...
Yes, I did not know who he was. He came with coin. I sold him. Fetched quite the price. 20 gold.
Respectable. That guy, in my mind, that guy's worth way more than 20 gold. But fair enough. Well, I did want to ask you about a bit more business, and there is coinage in it if your answers ring true. There was a Canaanian man perhaps came by a day or two ago, picked a fight with your men.
Ah, yes. How did you hear about that? Some fool.
Well, he's a relative of one of our caravan members, and we're just looking for him. I'm willing to pay for the information. Last you saw of him, anything that he mentioned while I was here?
Yes, well, He does not seem to like slavers overly much. Was ranting, I could barely understand, he was so drunk. But slavery ruining his life or some such. His wife, I don't know. He tried to come at me and my guards beat him. Then they took him to the constable's office and they put him in jail. I assume they probably have released him by now, as they are doing with all the drunks. He probably doesn't even remember it.
Remember anything specific he mentioned at all?
Not that I can recall. Except his wife kept going on about a woman. I don't know. I see you kind of expectantly.
Yeah, not much great help to me, but I'll flick him a gold piece.
Yeah, he just puts his hand up. No need. That is not information worth selling. I always sell good things. I always sell worthy things. Slaves, maybe information, but if you're looking for this fool and you can promise to keep him away from me, I will take your coin for information that might be more useful.
Alright. No.
If there's one man in town who might know where he would be, it is Zeb. Zeb.
So Zeb would know.
Well, can't say for sure, but aye. If anyone knows, he would know. It won't be cheap with Zeb, though.
Oh, that's the guy from Baker's Row, ain't it?
No, it's not the guy from No.
Oh, that's a different guy. Okay.
No.
You're thinking of the butcher.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give him. That's something.
Kagan will look strained with restraint as he's basically down talking to his brother. But as y'all exchange payment and you gain the name of Zeb, Kagan will ultimately he'll step forward. He'll go. Says, "Do you consider yourself to be a man who lives by his reputation?"
Oh, Kosh kind of looks at you quizzically. Well, of course, my friend. That is all I have. You can ask any in Shoshan. Who will you deal with and trust for any merchandise of flesh? Elkosh.
That being said, you have heard about this demon that roams the streets, have you not?
Oh, of course. Who hasn't? Quite fearful. Quite scary. Undoubtedly.
That being said, is there anything further about this gladiator that you sold the crocodile to? My initial thoughts fell upon him and his bestial appearance. It says, should the beast indeed wind up being him, it would be a shame if they backtracked his purchase to you. Would it not?
I do not think it is the crocodile. He is a man.
Kagan will just let out a sigh and he goes, so much so that you would risk everything? All I'm really trying to do is just get any more information as far as a lead.
Yeah. I don't know, but, well, the games, they're happening. You wish to find him? Go to the Colosseum.
Was he alone when he came? Did he have any others? Do you remember a name by any chance?
Ah, yes, a name. Let me think. And he kind of like looks into the air a bit, and he's hold on. And he walks back to the back. I will look at my ledgers. He walks back here, leaving you alone for a few minutes.
Definitely, I would hope everybody else here too would try to read his body language.
Yes.
Ern is kind of getting as much of a read on this guy as he can.
Well, what's insight?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My thing.
Why is everybody staring at me?
Take the doom. So after a few moments, he comes waddling back. Yes, I have it here. Azam. His name is Azam. From somewhere else in Shim, I think. From what I've written down here. 22 gold, actually.
A fine deal.
Very well. A name is more than enough.
I hope.
We're only as good men as our words, are we not?
Yes, of course. And if you find that scum that attacked me or tried to, tell him Ilkosh holds him no ill will. For one such as I, he kind of touches his chest and bows a bit. Understand the plights of the poor and the drunkards. I will give him a few coppers for his next meal. Here, let me. And he kind of like starts picking out like a bit of coin and kind of reaches over to Kagan to give it to him. Give him this from Elkosh, a man of the people.
I so want to put an arrow through his head.
Yeah, Varys is sweating a little bit because he realizes the implications here that are not being shared.
Yeah, Kagan is fuming internally, trying not to show it, but he'll ultimately relent and reach a hand out and push the coin away. There's no need for that.
Well, very well. But still, tell him Elkosh sends his regards and hope he feels better. Man was not much of a fighter. He should keep to whatever his skills are. He kind of shrugs.
We are merely sent here to make sure that he is alive and well and returns home safely.
Yes, I hope he does as well.
If any ill will has begotten him, those responsible will pay dearly. Then he'll spend the turnaround.
Yes. Tell me if I need to do anything to procure your friend's safety. And he kind of like clasps his hands behind his back and waits for you to depart.
Ern kind of steps to the side as the others go past him a bit. And I would like to know again, how much was this one? Oh, it was.
Oh, this one. This one is the prize of my collection. Very pricey, friend.
Oh?
Well, you see...
The price?
Oh, I do not think you can match the price that I have already been offered. The priestesses of Ishtar wish to bring her into their fold. I mean, can you blame them? But I will not give her up for meager pittance. Oh no. Elkosh strikes fair deals, and when they present me with a fair deal, I will accept.
Very well. Perhaps we could speak on this another time. Over some wine, yes?
He looks at you
I
kind
may
of...
have some funding that would be suitable.
I do not
What do I spend?
understand, but I always enjoy wine.
Very good, as do I. I recently came across some fine red wine. I will bring some for you.
Oh my god.
I look forward to speaking of.
No, it's very well. Be safe, this beast. This beast is a terror.
Indeed. Haroon gives him a bow before he heads out.
Alright.
A fine red wine.
Yeah.
Alright, you head outside.
It's Stitchy and the best.
Yeah, the best of the best.
Mhm. Guys are just gonna murder every NPC in the game.
Every
Well,
influential
to be
person just
fair-
kill him and take their
to be
place.
fair, Haroon has a good reason for that one.
Yeah, that one.
His new blood sister demands it. But anyway.
Okay, so
Blood for the blood, sis.
what's next?
Is anyone familiar with the name Zeb? I should have asked about that before we just left his.
I think
Zeb.
we probably would have heard about the shop being nearby, right?
Yep, and you guys actually have met him before. When you were
Man.
so when you guys were fighting with the guy that shot Melik with the dart gun, his guard came out and kind of was giving you the business about making a bunch of racket outside. I think that's the wrong game. Sorry, that was the prelude. Sorry, never mind. Zeb is he is a yeah. Melik would know who he is. Melik, yeah, go ahead, Melik. You have the information on Zeb.
Zeb. He's a local here. He owns a curiosity shop, a bazaar. Sells trinkets, odds and ends, but the most popular thing that he sells is information for a price. He's a type of broker of things that people want to know. Knowledge, understandings. What happens in this city does not go unnoticed by Zeb. If we have questions, he will know. But it will cost us.
Very well. He would be a most suitable one then to get to know, yes?
This bazaar is this near the actual shop stalls. Perhaps we could kill two birds with one stone, as they say.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yes.
stuff near there. It's not in the huge bazaar, but it's in the shops area. Those that have more money have actual buildings instead of just tents in the bazaar, right?
Yeah, it's near the cat house too. Ishtar's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I suppose we head there.
Okay. Seconds. You head to Zeb's through the winding passageways of the local shop area, and you're met with an open door, but a guard that stands not in the way, but next to the door. He's very heavily armored for someone in this region. He kind of just watches you, and he's like, "Welcome to Zeb's. I'm sorry we've had some, murders on the street. Please keep your hands to where I can see them if you're armed." And he looks, and clearly you are. And there's even a murder of a dyer next door. Terrible times, this.
Indeed. The city is a bit of a mess, is it not? Quite busy, too. Imagine business has been good.
Yes. Come. If you wish to speak to Zeb, he's behind the counter there. And you see this man, he's kind of got this... What would account to like almost a snow globe kind of thing? And he's kind of like rolling it in his hand, and all these sparkles are coming in this. It's like a glass ball with all these like flakes passing up, and he's kind of rolling it between his fingers, and he's like, customers, welcome. How may Zeb help you?
He kind of goes to let, Kagan and Rivers do their thing.
Melik has his back turned and he's looking to, pretending like he's looking at items along the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, Zeb. My name is Varus Rex. It's my compatriots Harun and Kagan. We were hoping to see if we could also once browse your shop, but also inquire about some information you might have.
Yes, I have heard of you. You are with the caravan, are you not, Varus Rex?
Was.
I see. And is that my friend Melik there? I'm not sure we've met, but a Shishan, a man of Shishan, is a friend of mine.
Why would he recognize Melik with his back turned and a hood over his head?
I don't know.
Why indeed? I would just interject with it, because I'm assuming Melik's probably taken aback by that. Afraid you might have my friend confused with somebody else. He is merely a traveler with us, hired guard. The man you speak of, I knew he's dead.
Oh, I see. I just knew you were traveling with Melik and assumed. Don't worry about it. And he turns towards you. Unfortunate about his fate. You said you wanted information. What is it that you wanted?
Well, we're looking for someone. Gentleman, I'm sure you're familiar with Alkosh, told us that after getting into a scrap with him, this gentleman we're looking for, a Canian male, middle-aged, well, we're on the lookout for him. He's a relative of my friend Kagan here. Hoping you maybe have some information about this person.
And who is this person? Their name?
Don't remember the last name. Is the caravan leader of the whatever tribe, is Hanwell. He is my brother-in-law. I've been instructed to find him, ascertain his whereabouts, and that he is safe, and return him home to his family. And I plan to do so. The trail has led us near here, and after meeting with Elkosh, it seems that you're next on the list of inquiries.
I see. Well, I'm glad you've come to Zeb. I do not know where your... What did you say he was? Friend is, but... I had heard about his run-in with Elkosh and his subsequent arrest. I can't say I thought it was worth noting at the time, but if you give me a day, I will be able to find him. Maybe 2 at the most. Or a price.
What's your price?
I suppose it depends. Is he attempting not to be found?
Highly doubtful. He was drunk, having affairs of the heart. He was not in the right frame of mind. Any normal man would have come to his senses and returned home after a night's drinking. He's been gone several days.
I see. Well, it should not be so hard. Rest assured Zeb will find him. 5 gold. Perhaps send a favor. In the future.
Look at Kagan and Haroon and sort of give the impression that Varus is okay with that deal.
Yeah, Haroon nods as well. Very well.
I would not deem you to pay until I have come with my side of the bargain. When I do, I will take your money, not until. As Elkosh always says, something about being respected. Well, unlike him, I really am.
I can see that sounds true. And you are the one who knows this city well.
Yes,
I must imagine. You are a good friend to have, yes?
I am.
He smiles. And so, in lieu of our business, Haroon puts a gold coin on the counter as a personal fund to you, as thanks for taking this up.
I would never turn down coin as thanks. And he kind of scoops it up. It says, "Do not think this means I am indebted to you."
Of course. Perhaps we would find another way to achieve that. Haroon smiles deeply. If you ever have the need, of course.
Perhaps. And he kind of looks hurrying up and down and then turns to Varus and says, "Tell me, what will you do now? Will you continue to look for the man?"
I think we will give you time and space to do your work. Our bumbling might just get in your way. We're going to get some supplies. May I actually do a bit of browsing here? I fancy it's an interesting establishment that you have.
Very well. Nothing of real use, just baubles. Potions. He kind of shrugs. Things that are, well, a curiosity. I do not make much money on this junk, truth be told.
I'll still check it out nonetheless, see what his inventory is.
Yeah, you're looking at things like the snow globe type of thing, right? Just kind of strange artifacts.
Does he have a toy saber and a hobby horse? You know, those little sticks with a horse head on them?
Sure. He has some wooden crafted toys in a pile in the corner.
I'd actually gather up a little wooden play sword and one of those little... is that what they call the hobby horse?
I think so.
You know what I'm talking about? It was like a plush horse head on a
That's what
stick,
it is.
and they just ran around hopping them with a whip between their legs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I pick up one of those, a sword and a horse. And it kind of looked ironic for him to do it, but he's actually thinking about the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Zeb looks to Bales and he's like, "Bales, we must be careful. This one has a fierce weapon in his hand." And Bales kind of looks up for a moment, and then Zeb's kind of like smiling at Kagan as he has his toy sword and horse.
He'll just put it down brusquely and shove it forward. Then he'll raise an eyebrow and he goes, "Tell me, Zeb, does the name Azam mean anything to you?"
Yes, I've heard that name.
Is he a local here? Does he come to visit? Or...
Zeb likes you, but, well, Zeb does need to make money. How much is this information worth? And he kind of looks to your goods that you put down, and those are free on the house, of course.
Kagan will playfully retort back. He goes, "Well, if my hunch is true," he'll turn to Varus and he go, "What does the captain of the guard say? The bounty's 15 gold?"
15.
On the beast. Okay, looks sidelong. That's the only bounty I know that is for 15 gold currently.
He'll nod. Kagan honestly doesn't care about the money. He cares about safety. He also is curious. But he's not going to go out going, "Hey, am I right? Let's look for the beast."
Yep.
Yeah, he's just like, he'll look and he goes, "Yes, this beast I speak of." Says, "I cannot help but reminisce to one of Elkosh's slaves. You know the crocodile?"
Oh, yes. Fearsome.
I'm more curious than anything is if Azam ever got his goods like he wished or not.
Oh, well. I suppose for a few coins I could tell you that.
He'll nod affirmingly. Be greatly appreciated.
Well, you see, as I heard it, this Azam has taken his prize to the pits to fight. The games are today. I wished I could watch it myself, but I am now busy. But I will say, if you wish to see if this crocodile is there or not, you should go and perhaps watch the games, or, well, you're strong men. Earn some coin, join yourself. The chariot races, mass battles, fights to the death even.
We have a couple of days to kill, don't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much.
2 days.
Really win.
Kagan will nod affirmingly again. He goes, "Who knows, perhaps we will take up on that offer. Allow curiosity to take us."
Curiosities are always pleasant and profitable. And he kind of reaches his hand
Yeah,
out
look
across the
around.
bar.
And he'll look about the place and he goes, "And most appropriate too, it would seem."
Yes, curiosities can be more than baubles. He's looking at you expectantly for your donation.
I don't know, he said a few gold.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'll hold out 3, see if he coughs or scoffs.
No, when you drop 3, he nods. And curiosity delivered for righteous payment. And kind of sticks it in his whatever you would call shirt. More like a robe, but yeah.
Abba?
Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but he says, "Come back here tomorrow about the same time. I will see what I have found about your friend. Hopefully he is simply, well, shacked up at the Blessing. Sounds like that would be a first place to start, but leave it to Zeb.
Kagan will rub his chin, and he could very well still be brooding.
Indeed. Very well, friends. I must reach out to a few friends of mine to attempt to solve this problem for you. Tomorrow, then.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Looking at a snow globe.
Where has Nasir gotten off to?
How much for that snow globe, by the way?
Oh, it just gives it to you. Part of the arrangements. I'll have another one made. They're fun.
Does it have made in Catan written on the
Oh, that's great.
Guaranteed to break in 2 weeks.
All right.
Buy those in serious bulk.
Where would you like to
Catan
go?
sewing shops for
Yeah.
snow globes.
Catan's pretty much hyper in Asia, so these.
Mm-hmm.
So after we've got that, we're waiting. Well, I think that we give a day for Zeb to do his work. I think this is a good day to get our supplies arranged, taken care of.
Indeed. I must admit, I would not mind a good drink. It has been quite busy.
The Blessing is one of the local upper scale establishments. Melik could tell you more about it. Ishtar's Blessing.
That's where he went, right?
Who?
Melik to heal
Yes, you were there.
overnight.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a dual purpose. Well, more than dual purpose. It's I don't know if I gave you the information for this place, Melik. If I did, you can.
You didn't.
Okay, so essentially, it is the priestesses of Ishtar obviously host their people who tithe there, so it serves as a whorehouse. Also serves as a tavern and a house of healing. So if people need beds that are sick, sometimes they will put them in there, as they did Melik.
Well, what is it we're off to now?
We all want to go have drinks. I think the best thing we can do first is spend what daylight we have to get as many supplies as we need for the road ahead, so that we're prepared and ready to move whenever the time comes. And then if we're all looking for a night of merriment, you can all go to it. I don't know if I should leave my men unattended in the guard. We've had so many setbacks because of lax defenses. I've been concerned.
It's fair enough.
It'd probably be wise to return before the sun sets, especially with this known assailant loose upon the streets.
True.
Indeed.
We can drink in camp.
Sounds like a fine idea.
Very well, then we should gather our belongings, our equipment, get what it is we are going to need, and head back to camp.
Yeah, you can spend the rest of the day getting the supplies gathered up. That's not a problem. All right, let me move you over to Is there anything you're going to do at night this day, or anything you
No, it's not.
want to do?
Listen for rumors if maybe people, if they're returning from the games, if the name of the crocodile has been dropped or not.
That is a good idea. Let's see. How about a...
I heard they had a 7-foot-tall giant that had scales.
Yeah, depending on how the time and how long it goes on, we could just go see the games and see
Could
in
do that.
person.
Well, by the time, if you're going to gather supplies, you probably wouldn't have time to do both.
Yeah, you're gonna have to haggle in the market and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Figured. Yeah.
But if you want to roll a observation, Kagan, and then we can go from there.
Cool. I have keen senses. I can reroll a die 20 if I need to, but I don't need to. I got 4 successes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, baby.
You see all the things. Yeah.
As you kind of are listening on the way back, you hear nothing about a crocodile. You hear of great warriors and displays of things that are happening, but the first day of the games are mostly chariot races, archery contests, fights that are not to the death, things like that. But you don't hear anything about a crocodile or anyone that would really match that description. It's very clear that people would probably be talking about him in a different way than you're hearing anything.
Yeah, because in all honesty, in my mindset too, if they were, God only knows, that would draw attention. So who knows? Azam might even feel cheated. You know, I bought this friggin' freak of nature. You know, hey, look, there's a beast entering the gladiator. A beast! Oh, the beast! Oh! Guess we're returning with beef jerky and gourds of water.
Yeah, plenty of come back with plenty of stuff.
Definitely want to make sure the punts get theirs. Hopefully they don't skirt off in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they seem to be satisfied with where they are for now. They don't seem like they're going to leave. But as you're kind of getting ready for the night, kind of sitting around having quote-unquote dinner, you see someone walk towards the fire of the camp. On the outskirts.
Uh-oh.
And he stops a respectful way away and... Varus Rex. This is Commander Dardus.
Ah, Commander, come. Sit, share the fire.
He nods and walks forward and sits next to the fire, and he has a very morose kind of look on his face as he does. And I was wondering if you could tell me more about, well, my friend and what happened.
It's a bit gruesome. Are you sure you want to hear it?
I would hear it all.
Well, we were sitting around this very fire, talking, eating, speaking of things to come. And then something flew through the night, struck Melik in his neck. Melik reacted as one might expect, surprise, awareness, went for his sword. He seemed to stumble all around. We dispatched the
assailant quickly enough. But when we had looked back to Malik, we found out too late. Stygian red.
That is an unusual poison for this land. But deadly.
Indeed it was. We did what we could for him, but...
That, with no healer here, I do not think he would make it into the city. I blame you not.
But we did dispatch his murderer.
He nods and says, I grow weary of this place. I wonder when you and your caravan leaving next.
Well, it's under new ownership. You'll have to take it up with her, I'm afraid.
I do not think she would be very opposed, though, to an experienced fellow, if that is what you seek.
I am not of this land, but I've served here since my youth. It has changed. I hope to broker a peace between the people and the Khan, but if this is what he is doing...
It is good of you to see. Most would be quite complacent.
Okay, he's just looking into this fire, kind of absently. Where is Malik and what is he doing? Is he actually listening to this, or is he just off?
Yeah, Malik is basically over here by this,
Okay.
this well.
Yep.
He's, listening to them talk.
Tell me, Dardis, you spoke with anybody about what you found out with Malik?
No. I haven't said anything. He kind of looks at Varus and he's like, Why? Why do you ask?
I've had comrades die before. It's a difficult thing to take. That we look to our closest, whenever one does fall. We speak to our close friends, family, look for comfort.
No, I have no one here anymore. Most of our kind are gone, fled, or dead. Malik was the only one I knew that stayed. And it was not a common soldier. And he kind of shrugs. The others, they fled or were killed. Crucified, most of them. Somehow we were lucky. He says lucky like he doesn't really think it was really luck.
Can I kind of roll insight or something to gauge him, see how genuine he is?
Sure.
Yeah, Rune is always,
I let you guys roll because you really... Yeah, you have today.
Really do, yeah. It's bizarre.
He's a good man.
Who is?
He kind of puts his hands towards the fire. And perhaps it is not the Khan doing these things. I don't know. The dogs. He kind of looks over his shoulder. I mean, the lions. I think one of them is dead. You probably know nothing of these people.
Very little, I must admit.
They're emirs now of Shishan, important people. Only below the Khan, but I have heard that, well, one of them defied him and was killed. Something with the priesthood. With that Sabine. She has not been seen since. Sick. Poisoned herself, I heard. Don't know.
That is thing. That is most curious.
Anyway, I do not mean to well my frustrations upon you. I simply came to know more about my friend's death.
Of course, it is no problem. And truly, Dardis, if you would seek to join us when we next depart, perhaps you would find the road far more favorable.
Perhaps.
I will do whatever I can to ensure you join us smoothly, if you would like.
Well, when you're about to take to the road, let me know. I may lend my sword. I'm growing fat anyway behind this desk.
There are many fine surprises on the road. I always find it lightens my mood. Perhaps it will do that for you.
Perhaps.
And he gives him a smile and a nod.
Dardis definitely does not smile, but he stands up and looks to Varus and Kagan. Kind of gives him a curt look and bows his head and turns to walk away. And he leaves you.
I'm tempted to tell him about the crocodile.
We got no proof, though.
Don't matter. Word.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If he
So,
really is emotionally distraught, pray on that. This'll cheer you up. I heard that there's this greasy fat bastard that's got a 7-foot tall crocodile, man.
Who eats people?
so Malik, you watch Dardis walk away in the ember or the flame, the edge of the flames, the light of the fire, as you kind of take your seat again.
Well, what did you think? Do you think he's being an honest man? And he's looking
Haroon.
at the group.
Yeah, Haroon kind of watches to make sure he's well far away. And he pats Malak on the back. Indeed. I think you have yourself a fine friend and ally. You've done well.
He seems honest, but if he's going to join the caravan anyway, may as well wait until he's firmly secure in that decision before we show him that you've returned from the grave.
Indeed. You
Yes,
would
it
be a
is not.
fine addition. Trustworthy. Indeed.
It is no light thing on my heart that I am lying to a friend like this.
Huh?
We have
You
fought
are
side
not
by
lying,
side,
are
and he
you?
is a good man.
But we make the lie in your place. You can always let him know. It was at our behest that you did not tell him sooner.
Well, he is a tactical man, good in combat. He would understand the decision.
Indeed.
It still weighs no less on my heart that I have to do this right now.
Just
But I
realize
think
you're...
Go ahead.
Just realize we're in a very precarious situation, Melik. That's all. Everything's changed over the last 2 weeks more than any of us could have ever hoped or expected. Not all of it good change, not all of it bad, but most of it bad. We don't know who we can trust. He's definitely proving himself as a trustworthy sort, but there's more to be done.
Yes. I look forward to the day, hopefully soon, that I can go to him and tell him about this ruse and explain to him why it had to be done.
And kind of out of the... Suddenly you hear... Ah! and then some sounds like steel being drawn from your right there, whatever direction that would be, probably east, I guess.
The way Dardis went.
Mm-hmm.
Like you found the beast. Drawing arrows and leaping over the fire.
Yeah, Maroon.
All the slave guards that are fucking around here.
Melik throws his cloak back and pulls his sword out.
Maroon charges up as well,
Rushing
sticking
quickly.
to the shadows as much as possible, of course.
You see south of there, Melik. I don't want you to get caught. That's the animal pen where you're going. You see Dardis. Well, do you? I guess you should keep going.
No.
Yeah, I take it it's this way.
Yeah, it's that way. Go ahead. That way.
Yeah, Maroon go between these. But Harun doesn't have light, so.
We're stumbling around in the dark over here.
Yeah. So.
There he is.
Yeah, good. Kind of go that way. So
Yeah,
you
so
see
Harun-
Dardis. They're kind of laying on the ground with a hand kind of across his stomach. He's like, ah, ah, and you see this thing, and behind him in the shadows, and it immediately just like bolts off quicker than you can even imagine into the darkness. Dardis kind of just rolls over on his side. Ah, it got in me, whatever it was. Ah. And there's no sign of whatever did this. And he just kind of looks up and he's like, my gods. And he looks down at his stomach. He's like, are my guts out? Are my guts?
How bad is it? Just looking at it from
Is there a healing? I think it's healing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and do a healing just to kind of diagnose how bad it is.
It's not terrible.
You could jump out of the shadows, Melik, and go, welcome to the afterlife.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's definitely bad, but his guts aren't out. I mean, he could die. Just kind of like,
Was that quickly? Any of you familiar with any kind of medical anything?
No, but
After-
we have plenty of carts nearby.
After
should get-
Melik, rushes off to see what that thing was, he comes back and sees Dardis lying on the ground, and he just throws his hood back and kneels down next to him. Friend, are you okay?
Dardis looks up and his eyes go wide and he's like, have I went down the river Styx already?
And Melik just puts a hand on his shoulder. He said, no, you are alive still. It was a ruse, a trick that we had to play. We had to be sure that my assassin was not connected to you or anyone else that we know. And Melik just tries to explain the situation to him, but telling him to just calm down and be quiet, and we're going to get him some help.
What? And his eyes kind of like flutter and kind of like passes out as you all stand around him, kind of
Yeah,
wondering
Harun
what to
actually
do.
brought one of the smaller carts. Dragged it over.
I'll try to at least staunch the bleeding, buy him some time. Grab a cart, bring it here.
And as you kind of all like running around trying to get a way to help Dardis, the scene fades to black.